What is up, everyone? Welcome to Season 3, Episode 13. So we do have some special guests on today. So I want to welcome Keith and JV. Before we get into kind of introductions and some Q&A with the guys, we are being fueled today by High Hopes, which is by Flying Fish. It is 25 years old, this Flying Fish Brewery. They are in Jersey, but they are Phillies fans, obviously with the High Hopes and with the plant there. If they don't have it where you get your beer, ask them and they'll get it. But it's Flying Fish here, guys. So this is a German. They're calling it a hoppy pilsner. It's delicious. I don't think we have anything else we wanted to talk about, but as far as promos, paying the bills a little bit and damaging our livers here with some beers. Drink responsibly, everyone. So Keith and JV, thank you for coming on today. I want to talk a little bit about one of your compatriots, Chris. So you guys don't know this story. Like behind the scenes, he was, I'm like asking him to come on. He's like, I run Philly podcast. We have 72,000. You only have 66,000. Why would I come on your show?
That sounds like
I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. I was like, well, we got Drunk Eagles. I'm like trying to sell this dude.
Yeah, that sounds exactly like him.
We got 30,000 over here, 20,000 there. So then, and obviously he's not here today. He got pissed off that we had Glenn Macnow on before him.
As he should. So here we go. He sometimes doesn't know he's doing a bit when he's saying stuff like that, right? He thinks he's being funny. But I'm like, dude, not everyone jokes off the bat like you. Like, not everyone's like, why don't you just be normal? Is it no, right? JV, back me up.
There's no normal there. Like that, it's first words out of his mouth is sarcasm or a joke, and that's when he wakes up and looks at his wife. So,
yeah,
he just doesn't stop with him.
And it's almost like to his detriment. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I'm sure he's like, first of all, by the way, thank you for having us. I love your stream. You guys are hysterical on Facebook. I keep telling everyone that if you're a real Phillies fan and you just need some really good humor, quick, instant memes, you can hate all of us. That's fine, dude.
There he is.
But you just need to stop being you, and people will actually like you.
Yeah.
So your stuff is great. So thanks for having us on. I really appreciate it.
Of course. So guys, could you tell us, I want to know what Philly, Broken Bell, the Hall of Fame Club, CEV, NEP, you guys got a ton of stuff going on. Just let our viewers know, what is going on and kind of what's the connection?
So, a few years ago, Chris and his buddy Eric started CEV, and then it quickly, after the Super Bowl, morphed into Philly. So they're kind of one of the same, just the name change as far as the podcast goes. But they kept some of the social handles. They said they started it because they got tired of local Philadelphia sports radio and what they felt was atrocious. So they're like, can't be any worse. We might as well do our own thing.
Yep.
Fast forward a couple of years after that, Chris asked Keith and I if we wanted to do a Phillies one with him, a Phillies podcast, and so we're like, yeah. 2 years ago, we're like, yeah, or last year, why not? Let's go for it, and it kind of grew from there for that season. And then the off season comes up, and we're like, what do we do now? And that's where Northeast Philly came from. And then we had a little bit of trouble with some former partners, and that's where the Broken Bell kind of came from, is that we decided we wanted to start our own little network and start helping other podcasts kind of get into it, see what they can do, try to grow a little bit. Obviously, our 3 shows were on there. And then we brought on Tyler, doing Tyler Talks. And then we got some other shows coming up that are going to be joining the network real soon.
I saw the wrestling one. So yeah. That was cool. Off the top rope.
Yeah.
I was I'm interested in that.
We also co-host with Quit Chasing, or we kind of rebroadcast them. There are two, and I'm going to be on their podcast like later tonight. They're like a Phillies podcast that goes sideways, if you will. Like it's like, hey, we're gonna, but they always
sounds familiar.
But they thread the needle at the end. It's kind of, and it's, I kind of love what they do. They will go left, they'll go right, but at the end they kind of land the plane, which is kind of different. And I like that kind of podcasting where it may be, and they even say it, we're irreverent and it's off the rails. So it's good enough for me, I think, to like spread my my podcast loving what is it? There's like, I watch a podcast now. Do you guys know about like there's a guy dresses like a goblin and interviews people?
No.
Like, and it's got millions of viewers. Like this is what people do. Like, so it's just amazing. Like something we all started as a hobby. It just blows up. And yeah, you guys can, if you want to Google it. I didn't make that up. I don't. John Goblikin is his name.
Huh.
That's funny. To check that one out.
We got to dress in costumes. Got it. That's how we get more.
Millions of viewers. Millions of viewers this guy has.
So what do you guys think are the biggest challenges and some of the biggest rewards from, having a sports-based podcast?
Transitioning into YouTube has been really, really difficult. Facebook is just, I think, more geared towards having a conversation, and building up a community is much easier. The sharing of it is much easier. With YouTube, I think you have to get caught up into an algorithm to kind of like reach more viewers. That's been really challenging. I think when we engage with people, that kind of comes natural. But it's the other. I think it's the other part. It's hard to build a community when you have to kind of beat a computer program.
Well, it's also tough when like Chris is one of your guys and you have him talking to people, right? You just gotta you can't have Chris doing it. You guys are nice, and
Yeah, that comes down to it. Maybe that's the problem, Keith.
I'm telling you,
we're
that's a growth strategy for you.
While I might agree with you, and I want to join in on this, he's kind of let me handle the YouTube, which has fallen flat, and he's like, let me direct the Facebook, which has somehow, but there is kind of like a crossover, and I think it's just kind of finding how those two markets do overlap and how to do it.
Yeah.
So we have our kind of like rhythm that we do when we prep for shows. We were kind of wanting to steal some ideas from you guys. So could you walk us maybe through how you guys prep for some shows?
Oh boy.
I do the same thing I did in high school. About 3 minutes before we go live, I write the intro. I do watch for the headlines and watching the games and stuff like that, just to kind of see what's going to be relevant. You don't want to be talking about Bryce Harper going on a hot streak when he's not. So one of those things.
Triggering
we just kind of
me
sit back.
so bad right now.
Yeah,
like this is like our only I think that we all vastly do different show prep, and I'm a statistician. Right, I am a mathematical guy. I have everyone's stats up on about 30 different pages.
So you're digging.
Yeah. If I'm saying it, I want to be backed up by some sort of fact. I just don't want to have a feeling, because baseball, you feel a lot of things over 162, and if you get caught up in feelings, you're going to have a bad time watching a really good team.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Fuzzy does nothing.
Right.
Absolute. Chris does absolute zero prep. He gets on, runs his fat mouth, and is generally wrong.
And you know what? Well, also, you know what? And I feel bad for the people that are watching it, because he's wearing muscle shirts every fucking podcast I've tuned into. I'm like, don't you have any? I was like, don't you have any shirts with fucking sleeves?
He interviewed one country singer, and now he thinks that's his that he's a redneck now. Like he started getting the skull outline in the back of his jeans.
You're
like
wrong,
it's
JV.
terrible.
It's been 2 country singers now.
Oh, it's 2 now. I'm sorry, I forgot about the second one joining.
He's going to bring up an album soon or a song, or he's going to be like, dirt roads, late night, talking about his truck and.
No, this is what's gonna. He wants to be best friends with these country singers. He thinks he's gonna get caught up on stage at the Barefoot Festival down in Wildwood, and he's gonna have this weird moment, and he's like, "Ah, dude."
Right.
I mean,
You're a ginger from Northeast. You lived off of Summerdale Ave. What?
I mean, so did I, but I'm not a ginger. That's the only thing I have going for me.
Yeah, but
we're
you don't
both-
go
we're all-
like, hey, 92.5 is the best thing I've ever heard. You guys need to tune into it.
Let me tuck one in my cheek and gum, and
Yeah.
Look
there
out,
we
the DPF Cowboys chiming in.
yeah, he loves us. Guys, what role does social media play, and like, what role do you play in that? Like, are you engaging like people? Are you writing the posts? Are you responding to people? Kind of like, how are you managing all of these different entities you have?
This is probably one thing I could probably do more of. I kind of just, when I find stuff that I like, I send it to the guys and let them kind of run it. Chris and Keith are pretty much posting, and Eric are posting about 99% of the stuff. Like I just find stuff and send it. I'm that lazy guy.
It's just, and all kidding aside, I think we've all found like a various niche and things we like to do. I like video editing. Fuzzy likes starting drama. JV does the kind of he's kind of like, he does keep it together, whether I should be admitting this or not, because then he'll want to be this guy. I'm just saying, Eric has kind of been a jack of all trades. So he's, co-host of Philly. If I have a general issue or I'm trying to learn something, he will direct me where to go, and then I'll just absorb it, and then I'll come back with a tutorial for everyone how to use that tool or something. But generally, this is supposed to be a hobby. So if you're not enjoying doing it, please don't do it, and don't feel like you're being forced to do it. Then you're going to want out, and we want you to stay around.
I'd like to use that same message for Bryce Harper. If you don't like doing what you're doing, stop fucking playing.
Do you really feel like, so statistically, Dugan, back me up on this. Statistically, Harper's not garbage. He's not.
No, but if you're going to walk around with a showman headband on, you got to show up every once in a while. And he hasn't had that signature moment yet this year.
Like running to first.
Well, yeah, running to first. I don't like the laziness. I think, I understand it at times, but
he's caught a little bit of the Bomies. That's all.
Yeah. He's getting paid a hell of a lot more than the Bomies to, he's the face of the team, and I think it's a bad look when he's the guy dogging it. And when they have meetings at the mound, he doesn't even come to the mound. He stands at first base. He's the only infielder that doesn't come to the mound. I don't get that, but I have hope.
Yes, you do. He wants the money. He hasn't been paid it. It's his way of saying, you keep saying I'm this team's leader, but you don't pay me like a leader. And they're saying you don't play like a leader. So there is a Mexican standoff, so to speak.
A little bit, yeah.
He got paid when he came here. That's the thing. Like, that was, you paid to come here and be the leader. That's what money they gave you at that time.
Yeah.
And you haven't produced the World Series. He's put up numbers and put up great seasons. Don't get me wrong, but he hasn't done that little bit of extra to go, we're going to give you all this money. We need one more step from you to get even more money now. Like,
I wouldn't put that all on him to win a World Series, because obviously baseball is the ultimate team sport. You're only as good as your at bat. But I think he's had some pretty shitty at bats this year in big spots, and that's not like him. I think at the end of the day, you are what the back of your baseball card says you are. So I expect his numbers to be there at the end of the year. But you got to start worrying. I mean, he's a violent player. He's a violent swinger. He's had injuries throughout his career. Maybe he's going to age a little quicker than a normal 31-year-old just because of the way he played when he was younger and how long he's played. I mean, he was 19 years old when he started, so he's been in the league for a long time.
But Chris, I would figure the matcha and the special rice flour that's passed through a 2 millimeter sieve is going to help him.
I would think so. He's trying everything, right? His banana bread and
cutting his hair,
cottage cheese bagels.
Yeah.
So did he really go from like the badass of baseball to kind of like the weird yuppie of baseball?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It got weird. It definitely got weird.
Like I am not disagreeing with you. I definitely don't think he's the leader. I definitely feel like Schwarber.
I don't think the team has a leader. I don't think they have a leader.
Ding, ding, ding. I think that's the winner right there.
You need a guy like, they talked about Dutch, getting pissed off when the 93 Phillies were fucking around. He would get angry and he came in. You knew when Dutch walked in the room who was in charge. And I don't think the Phillies have that guy right now.
Who wasn't it? Carlos Santana, where like someone was playing video games eating chicken wings and he fucking destroyed the fucking locker room.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was when he was in. Was it when he was the Philly or when he was with Pittsburgh?
It was in the Philly. It was a Fortnite thing. They were playing Fortnite and shit.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It was like 14 or 15 or something. It was like when they were eating dog shit. And I'm sorry. Right. Wait, hold on. Is this a cursable one? Yeah, cursing.
Oh, yeah.
I had to double check. Sorry. I'm on like two different podcasts. I'm gonna make sure this is the right one. But that's the. And normally you look to guy like Topper, right? Like Topper is like, oh, he doesn't lose his cool. Great. Hire someone who will lose his cool. Hire Topper's anger management translator or whatever you need to do. Boa, someone who's got a mouth on them that's going to go, what the fuck, guys? Like, are you...
You need the scene from Bull Durham when he throws the bats into the shower.
Yeah.
And the
lollygaggers.
You're lollygagging. Yeah.
For closers.
All of us are available. Tortorella's available.
Right?
What do you guys think about that whole tort? People are talking, and it was brought up on our podcast the other night, was what's his name's kid? Mattingly's kid.
Preston.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's definitely improved the Phillies minor league system. I mean, it's way better now than it was under Bozo, what the hell was his name?
Clentak
and McPhail. I mean, it's definitely improved. I mean, they actually have some pieces down there that could be used as trade bait at deadlines, where before it was bottom of the barrel stuff.
I also they won't come up for that.
They won't come up to their 28 though. That hasn't changed. They're like, this guy's like 25. Like, let's leave him down there for a little bit.
We're so rich in the farm, but we've gone from like, I think we destroyed our farm. We're so now paranoid about what we're going to do to it. We either protect them for too long or don't even use them as any type of leverage. It's like we can't just.
I think they went after too much veteran talent to feel comfortable bringing up the minor league system, bringing up the minor leaguers. Like when you go out and you get a Cassiano, you get even a Kepler, you get Wheeler. You got Harper, you got JT. Like you're starting to fill up your squad. You went and got Marsh. You're putting these pieces in place that are blocking these minor leaguers, and now you're scared to make those moves. So why not just sit on them longer, and then you get the Weston Wilsons of the world who can spot a couple of things, but really he's became a AAA player. That's all he'll really ever be. So,
yeah, and I think that's where you see it too. The high end money being spent on those veterans is the bench suffers. You really don't have much of a bench, and they haven't had much of a bench. And other than Sosa, who I think is a nice piece, you got your backup catcher, and then you got two guys that are just guys that a guy like Weston Wilson and Cody Clemens. I think they're interchangeable. You can find guys like that anywhere at any time. And I think we've always wanted to have like a guy that is kind of a game changer, guy that you can pinch hit for in the eighth inning. He's got a shot at hitting one out. and they never haven't had that in a couple of years. And I think it's because they're spending the big money on those guys, and then they go cheap on the bullpen. I mean, how many years in a row do we have that Corey Knebel type signing, a $10 million deal? I mean, this year it's Romano, and he's turned it around recently, but it's like they throw money at guys on 1-year deals in the bullpen, and they go cheap on the bullpen because they're paying their shortstop $300 million, their first baseman $300 million. They're
for a not guaranteed position, right? So we're hiring you for the bullpen. Great. What am I doing? We'll get into it.
We'll figure it out.
It kind of depends who's hitting.
And the thing is, like with today's bullpens across the league, I think outside of a couple of players, the bullpens are just not consistent enough to want it. And I understand giving them 1-year deals because, you go out and give a guy that's supposed to be like a 7th inning guy, 8th inning, whatever. You give him 3 years, he comes in and he has 1 good and then 2 shit. You guys feel like you waste the money.
I can see that too. I see that too.
Where the 1 year.
I think it's just
that's a prototype. That's a league copying thing. The Cubs did that 2 seasons ago, where it was like, hey, we're going to give you a 1 year and we'll DFA you if you ain't working out over 10 games.
Yeah. Believe it or not, the Pirates were doing that too for years. They were 1-year deals especially on veteran guys, hoping, and on their end, it was more hoping that they would be playing well at the trade deadline and be able to and move them and get more minor league pieces for, so we look real good in single and double A, to give the city hope, like, oh, we got talent coming, but you don't. But yeah, the Pirates are, I think, one of the ones that really started that 1-year deal on veterans across the board, and especially in the bullpens, and hoping these guys catch on.
I'm
like
sorry.
Mark Melancon
I meant to say, did the 1-year deal thing that worked out for them. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. It was a complete sentence thought that you didn't really. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, let me put us back onto your guys and your podcast here. Have you guys had any guests or episodes that you were really surprised with how much it resonated with your followers?
I'm gonna say it. As having probably, you know what, our draft party blew up just recently. That was huge, and it went really well. I was expecting maybe a complete disaster. We had on the schedule, I think, 12 different guests coming in and out, and it was at first scheduled, but we said let's just make it a round table, and that round table, it was pretty good analysis. It was really spot on. It had a lot of good humor to it, and I feel like we weren't stepping on each other, which was nice. I just expected it to be a train wreck.
So guys, with the draft party, I think Dugan and Mike, I think we could use this idea, except ours is just pouring drafts. We have 12 different drafts. It's the same type of idea.
Okay,
this is good stuff. Thank you.
I got 2 tabs.
Let me know. I'll hire an Uber for that day, and I'll help you. I'll help you with the draft.
Excellent.
Yeah, just wondering. We all have our kind of favorites that we're pie in the sky. Like we really wanted to talk to John Kruk, and we were able to do that. Is there anybody that you guys, former Philly or any kind of Philly athlete, doesn't have to be baseball, that you guys would want to talk to on your pod?
LA for sure. For me, I want to talk to LA. That dude, he'd probably be more interested in you, but man, he would probably have some amazing stories that I'd want to hear. I get to hear Crucky all the time, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
He
think
was great. He was great on the show, though. He was awesome.
He was really good.
He was really good.
Oh, I loved it. I was dying. It was let's see, who your show who did you just have on
McEnroe. It was recent,
Sure.
right?
Oh yeah, Glenn.
And-
Yeah. That was awesome.
That was a
my
blast.
God, that was awesome. Oh,
Tony
my
Bruno
God.
was fun too.
I think personally for me, I would want to have Merrill on. I think his time, you learn a lot from him just by listening to him and talking to him. I met him once way back in the day. I was working at Modell's, and he was doing the show that out of the Neshaminy Mall, and a couple of times I got to talk to him during that. He was just a great guy, awesome to talk to, and I can only imagine some of the stories he's had over the years.
JV, you brought up Modell's, and like my wife, Mrs. Modell's, she used to get me like 10 pairs of fucking Russell sweatpants, around Christmas. They were like 10 for $50.
Right. Yeah.
They were just so killer.
That's actually how Chris and I met, was working at Modell's. So.
Okay.
Let me give you one. We had Jimmy Rollins on our page interacting. I think we had posted something that it was something he had done, and he actually commented. He goes, someone said, "Oh, that was one of, I think who was announcing it? Whoever was, and he said that was one of so and so's best calls ever." And he got on. He goes, "Absolutely, hands down, it was his." He was just a stand-up guy. I was like, "Yo, why didn't you try and reach out to Jimmy?" He goes, "That's not Jimmy." I'm like, "Dude, that's Jimmy's account." So he's oblivious. When I tell you guys, he is 100% oblivious. How he lucked into this. He's not. See, first of all, this is how you know the internet's fake. Ramon is not in Nicaragua. He's in Egypt.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like,
no
I didn't know they had pyramids there.
Hey, yeah.
So
have you not watched Ancient Aliens? I mean, come on.
Wow, that's
guys.
true.
At one point, we were the number 2 baseball-centric podcast in Sweden. So, hey, I mean, we're just international.
We're climbing the charts in Russia.
We keep getting handed Belarus. So,
oh yeah,
it was the Francie call versus the Dodgers in 2009. That's what Francie call with Jimmy Rollins.
Jimmy! Oh, the Goodfellas one. Yeah.
And that was the call, and he said that was Francie's best call, and I think Jimmy was just going kind of on about it, and I was like, "Yo, why didn't you hit Jimmy up?" He goes, "That's not him. That's a fake account." I'm like, "Bro, it's his real business account."
Yeah,
that's great.
When you guys are like doing the podcast, what's it like having Chris on, who has like a strong, personality, but is like always off base? How do you like rein him in?
I just tell him to shut up. All right, yeah, stop screaming, stop spitting on your mic.
Oh yeah.
Just sit back.
Oh, he does that a lot.
I got him drooling at times.
Oh.
He just gets so angry, and I really consider it like my solemn duty to fight against the heart medication that he's on for blood pressure control, and to just make sure. Listen, I know you're trying to do your best to stay alive. I'm doing my best to make sure that doesn't happen.
I saw that there was this thing where they're trying to lower the prices, and I saw a couple signatures, and they were Keith and JV. Like they want this one particular one to stay incredibly high, so it was inaccessible.
It's $300 a month.
Yeah,
right.
He is wrong often, but it's not that he's wrong. Everyone can be wrong about baseball. It's his hot takes on your take that aggravates me the most. Like, he goes ballistic when you have some sort of take that's kind of what was my take last season? And he told me I was a trash take. Oh, I said, just wait out Casty. Just please wait him out.
Casty thing last year.
Like, just wait this dude out. And then he was like Atlas and carried the goddamn team on his shoulder for the next 5 months. Like,
Agreed.
And he goes, "You're nuts. Get rid of him. He's away." I'm like, dude, there's 162 games. Breathe.
We have a hard time with that too.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
So I know we struggle with this. Like you'd spoken earlier, JV, about the off season and trying to come up with ideas. How do you guys keep it fresh every week? Especially if the team's not doing well. How do you keep it fresh?
I mean, you start finding little things that click for you, and just go with it. Like we jumped on the Casty home run thing the last couple of years and started finding different ways. We found last year, for some reason, whenever we talk shit on somebody, they would go on a tear.
We have had that same experience too.
Yeah. I was literally talking shit on Harper one day, and he hit a 3-run blast that I think landed in the Schuylkill. And it was like, and then he went on a nice little streak where he was, I think I don't know if it was necessarily a hit streak, but he was like 18 for 20 or something like that, some kind of ridiculous number for a couple of days. And I'm just like, you just start picking on that kind of stuff and you find the little fun things to go after. Other than that, it's baseball. There's always something to talk about.
We have a
Nobody
couple
tells
of
you wrong.
memes whenever someone we were talking shit on hits a home run. It's that guy giving us the fuck you, DPS. Keep talking shit. Fuck off. Yeah.
And I'd gladly shut us up, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'd rather be
Absolutely.
wrong.
Yeah,
I'm saying I was wrong. Yeah.
So far, the only guy we weren't wrong on last year was Walker. But, I kept trying. I was trying. I talk shit on him every week, and it just never worked. So
took him the
one
offseason.
outlier.
Yeah. So a lot of times we hear, we're posting on the page or we're talking on this podcast, and we hear from the followers like, that's exactly how I feel. How important is it for you guys to kind of tap into the voice of your guys' followers and your fans?
You can't. I think JV said earlier, you can't talk from the hip. You do have to have had put in the time. You have to have watched the games, and I think you have to stay calm, right? I think looking at it as a series, looking at it as a group of weeks, that helps, kind of like zoom out for a lot of fans. But then you also kind of get to say really crazy things like hire Larry Boa, right?
Bryson Stott had 30 home runs.
Those are
take last
preseason
year.
predictions. No,
Yeah.
stop that. Yeah.
No, I think that's the biggest thing is having that interaction because, at times you're just like, you're running a little dry on stuff and somebody will throw something out there and you're like, all right, I got this now. And it's something to run with. And that's the great part. Or you say something dumb and they run with it and you can keep throwing the messages up on the board and make it. And I think that interaction is key. And, that was one of the big things that we talked about, that we want to stay going live. We don't want to do a recorded show. Yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff you can do with a recorded show with editing and all that, but going live, it's different. You have that interaction with people. You guys have jumped on a couple of times. I don't know which one of you run the Facebook page, but you threw a couple of comments in a couple of our shows, and it's great to just keep things going and keep people talking. It keeps the conversation going.
Yeah.
So,
guys, we're going to switch to some Phillies talk. So, let's kind of get into that.
Oh, thank God.
We're kind of pretty.
I know.
Tired of talking about yourself?
Yeah, it's not. It ain't my favorite. Thank you.
And that's the toughest part because Chris could have picked any show. I gave him her entire run. He picked a day. Then he's like, "Oh, I can't do it," and then we'll do another day. So it must be tough working with a prima donna. Mike and Dugan know nothing about this. Guys, I want to talk about Nola, and I want to do the truth about Bruno, the truth about Nola. We're very low tech on the podcast recently, but guys, I'm going to share a graphic and hope this comes through. So this has not been done before. So Keith and JV, you're witnessing, history.
Awesome.
So I'm, it's on the same graph here, and I know it's small on people's screens, but this is Nola's ERA and meatballs through time. And the interesting thing is, I believe that Nola has not been really good since 2018. So if we look at his 2018, his ERA was in the 2s, and his meatballs were below 20. He's not been below 20 meatballs, except for the COVID year. And it was really close. He fucking tried hard to give up 20 fucking bombs in a small
62
year.
games or whatever it was.
So when you look at, and these are transverse ideas here. So the meatballs, they're going up. So we have them going this way. And the ERA is also going up. And, I'm not super analytical, but at the end of these, and when his ERA has been the highest and his meatballs are the highest, that's probably not the time that I would sign him until 2030. I wouldn't have done it. And here is my major problem with Nola. This is it. Game 6, 2023, NLCS at home. We need to win the game. Nola's pitching. He shit the bed. He was fucking horrendous. Gave up the home run to Gurriel in the third, and it wasn't the fourth, so that surprised me. But, it's a 5-1 loss, and, he's got to be a stud there. Nola's not only not been a 1, he's not an ace. He's never been an ace except for 2018. And you hear 2018, you're like, oh, that's not too far ago. That's 8 fucking years ago. He's been decent. And that's what we got sucked into. This guy's like, oh, he pitches 200 innings. Well, you know what? The gas runs out sometimes. And, the gas has run out. So I feel like with Nola, you're going to get 2 things. You're going to get someone who acts like Eeyore on the mound. He's fucking Eeyore from Winnie the Pooh. For the younger audience, I think most of our fans are our age and older, but they know who Eeyore is. And the other thing is meatballs. You hope the last 2 outings, you're like, all right, maybe we're seeing it. When you see Nola belt high or above, you're fucked. When you see Nola with an 0-2 pitch that's a strike, you're fucked because he just lays it in there. I don't see any way. I know what the Phillies are going to do. I know that they have all these years on him. I know that they have, a lot committed to him. This dude is not even a 5. He's not. How much longer? And this is my question to the group, kind of like, what did you think of the graphic? But how much longer do you stick with this dude?
I mean, I think it's 6 more years. That they have no choice. They signed him to be a starter, and he's going to be the starter, no matter what it is. They've committed to him. Maybe they gave him too much money based on past performance. The problem that I see with Nola, and I think it kind of rolls into one of my subjects here, and I think we can just talk about it all at one time, is there's so many goddamn excuse makers for this guy. You go from, they don't give him any run support. Well, we can dispute that last year that they scored a lot of runs for him. They haven't so far this year. That's a fact. But that doesn't change that his job is to keep a team in the game, and he hasn't done that this year consistently. His velocity's down. He was never really a guy that broke the radar gun anyway, and his velocity's down, and his location's been bad. You hear the excuse of, well, Marchand was his catcher for 5 of his starts, and his ERA with Marchand is 7 point something. He's a veteran. If Marchand's just making a suggestion, man, throw a fastball here, throw a fastball. You can always go like this and say, no, I don't want to put it there. I put it. It's on the pitcher. If you miss your spot, it's not the catcher's fault that you missed your spot. It's your fault. And it proved it last night. He had JT in a 5-1 lead, and in 3.5 innings, he gave up 9 runs, 12 hits, 3 home runs. What conditions does it need to be for Nola to pitch well? 87.6 degrees, catcher of his choice with a light breeze out of the west. That's the only time this guy can fucking pitch? Because that's what we hear about. Excuses. He's not a cold weather pitcher. Well, guess what? It's fucking cold in September and October in Philadelphia. It's fucking cold.
Yeah.
He has to be better. He has to be better because he's going to be in the rotation. Whether you think he's a 5, a 7, or a 10, he's going to be one of the 5 starters that the Phillies use for the next 5-6 years.
Fuck!
Yeah. Take the break.
So we got to follow. We got to follow her. We'll call him Peeve Cloud, right? And he always brings up the fact that Nola's like 3rd or 4th in Phillies history in wins and 3rd or 4th in Phillies history in strikeouts. But you're only as good as your last start. And by the way, he's 1-7. So there hasn't been a Phillies pitcher since 1901 that had 7 losses before today's date. And Nola just did it yesterday. So he beat that by a day. What have you done for me lately? And to your point, Chris, I think we are stuck with him. No one's going to take that contract.
He's an Omar Dahl. Omar Dahl also started 1-7. That's what we're looking at. That's.
Yeah. I want more from him. I had hope for Nola because he is that guy who takes the ball every fifth day. He eats innings, and maybe all those innings are finally catching up to him.
I definitely had the bounce back this year for him. I thought this was going to be the year bouncing back, and my preseason was 17 wins for him. I thought we were going to see Nola of old, but you're right. It's not always going to be perfect conditions in baseball, and you got to be able to perform so well in those conditions that we forget about the rain games and the cold games. You gotta lead June, July, August coming up. He's got to go on a win streak and drop his ERA down to 1 in order for us to forget about April and May. And I'm fingers crossed that he does it, but I don't have a lot of faith from what I've seen so far this season. And you're right. It's going to be tough for anybody to take on that contract. But I mean, there's somebody out there that could, if they go across the street and grab Howie, they'll find somebody to get that contract. Then they just need to call him up and be like, "Yo, Hal, come on over and
help us
make
out.
this deal for us."
Take an advisor role.
Yeah,
baseball runs a little different. You're losing pennies to the dollar on that contract. Can you throw back up the graphic because it kind of tells a story. By 2021, I was talking mad trash about Nola. Mad trash. I convinced myself by 2022, by looking over his career, he's actually statistically a very consistent baseball player. Very consistent ERA, his whip. If you break him down, and I finally fell ploy to the numbers, and I convinced myself, hey, statistically speaking, we have enough years now to say that he's fine. And then we got uptick, and then he evens out in 24 again, and I kind of get convinced, and here we are. Statistically speaking, it's very difficult for him to bounce back from a 6.16 ERA.
Yeah, he kind of has these up years and down years, but no year has truly been great. And I think the problem for us, and I think for the general fans is there some, because he's a homegrown guy, does he get a little bit more leeway than someone who's not? Because when I looked from when he started till now, obviously not now, but the year before, he's been in the top 10 in ERA once. Only once. Top 10. I'm not saying top 5, once. And that was 2018. So, is he getting, why do people still love him here?
He's ours, right? I think you nailed it. He's ours.
Yeah. 100%. It seems like he's this new version of Cliff Lee. People were so in love with Cliff Lee and everything he did, but he just
people.
Yeah. He shit the bed in the end of the season. He did not have great fall. He did not have great playoffs. And then who's the other guy? I was arguing with somebody, the guy from Chicago. Why can't I think of his name?
Jake Arrieta?
Yes. When we got him, and they were talking he was on a pace to win the Cy Young the year before we got him. No. He was on pace in the first half of the year.
Yeah.
The second half, he was terrible, and he was garbage. And that's what you paid for, was the first half of baseball. You paid for 90 games, 80 games. You didn't pay for the whole 162. And it seems like Nola is turning into that guy now, that we paid him for 2018. Expecting to get more 2018s out of him, and it's just not coming.
Yeah. I mean, do you really believe that the Phillies, when they signed him, they talked about Wheeler and Nola being 1 and 1A? I mean, seriously, I mean, I know I didn't believe that bullshit. I don't think Nola's been better than the 3 or 4 the last 4 seasons. And they try to sell us that he was, the ace in the pocket. He was the second ace, and people buy that shit. And I mean, I think that drove up his price, and the Phillies fucking finally caved. I mean, they went out this offseason. They got Luzardo, who's pitched circles around him. Christopher Sanchez is a guy I've been high on since the Phillies acquired. I thought this kid had the makeup and the stuff to be really good, and he's proven to really start to come into his own the last 2 seasons. I mean, you keep pushing Nola down the line as you keep adding these guys and you keep talking. Now he's at the 4, and if Suarez can pitch like he did, I think he dies after, like you said, 100 innings. You'll start seeing the back flare up and that shit. But at this point, if Rangers what he was the other night, Nola is the 5. He is the 5 with people in waiting. McAble's pitching well. We got Painter, in the wings. And people love him, and people love Painter, and they're excited to see him. Who knows how he'll do, once he gets brought up. But
that's the worry, Chris, right? Like, that's the worry. Like, if there's Abel and Painter and, these other guys, like, then fucking Nola's holding the spot for him, right? Like, and what are they going to do? They'll trade him, and we're stuck with this drone.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, you're stuck. Tough. Hold on. You're stuck. That's a...
I do think that's one thing about baseball across the board is teams are willing to get rid of pitchers to bring up these young pitchers and try to catch that lightning in a bottle. And you see it all the time. Like the guy in AAA that's just tearing it up suddenly pops up, has a great 1 or 2 starts, and then they come back to reality that they weren't quite ready yet. I think the Phillies are a little scared of doing that, of bringing a guy up because they got burned last year with a couple of guys that, granted, that was their role, was just to come up and have a couple of starts. And they did great. And then they're like, oh, he's going to be our 5 going forward until Painter's here. And then they just sucked after that. Had sent him back down.
Yeah. Tyler Phillips, right? Complete game shutout. Yeah.
Yep.
And then what do you do after that?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's
But you won't see guys like Painter and Abel until later in this mid-season, whenever the Pirates do it all the time. Like whenever the
late July,
the cutoff
is
is for the
soonest. Late July
for years of service and that kind of stuff. Because I think they feel like they got enough pitching. They don't need to bring them up before that.
Okay. And JB, before we move on to like the next topics, how soon until Paul Skeens is a Yankee?
I'm thinking probably next year's deadline. So, because that's when that contract's really going to start coming due.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And your guy won't pay him.
Going to be gone. Mitch Keller will be gone.
Yeah.
Jared Jones, we might get for another full season next year. So,
how much dead money is on his contract too? Skeens. Does he have dead money contract? I think he does.
He signed it was all like bonus stuff that he got.
Nothing was deferred?
I don't think so.
I thought he had a deferred.
He doesn't play for the Dodgers.
Right.
The Pirates aren't smart enough to defer money like that.
Kyle Tucker be the next deferred contract for the Dodgers next year.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
That's just that's the latest trend. You avoid it's even to avoid the luxury tax, deferred money is just the new money ball tactic.
Speaking of,
I stand corrected. He might go this year. He's pre-arbitration next year, so they might get rid of him this year.
Yeah. Yep.
He might be gone by the end of the season.
Yeah. So speaking of stealing players from Pittsburgh, we have an opportunity to upgrade at our backup catcher position. We didn't address it in the offseason. We brought up Marshawn and sent Stubbs back to Bacon Town, and we just none of that helped us. So I just kind of went through literally every single catcher in the major leagues, and I put together my top 3, like kind of a wish list, right? So
you're saying wish list for the backup
for us,
or
for backup, yeah.
Okay.
Just a replacement for JT or
right. That's what worried me.
No. No. This is a replacement for Marshawn and Stubbs. Since we didn't address that. So number 23rd ranked catcher in Major League Baseball is a gentleman named Keibert Ruiz from the Nats. We're pretty familiar with him. We play him a lot. Looks like he has a couple years left on his deal. He was acquired from the Dodgers in the Max Scherzer and Trey Turner deal, and he's 26 years old. So he hit 247, 89 OPS, averaged 22 doubles, 13 homers, and 53 RBIs, and a 1.2 WAR in 3 seasons. So that's like my third choice at backup catcher there. Number 2 is
Mike. Stop a second. I want to kind of talk about him because I do like him. I like him a lot, and I think that's a smart move. The difficulty with getting someone from your division is you have to convince this player that they're not going to be able to bat against Aaron Nola for the next 7 years.
Well, that's true.
And that's a tough sell.
It is a tough sell. I didn't think of that. Thankfully, I only had one in our division. So, up next is stealing from the Buccos, Joey Bart. He's number 17 ranked catcher in all baseball right now. Let's see, a couple of stats on him. He was number 2 in the overall 2018 draft. He got let go by the Giants when Patrick Bailey became available and started to light up the league. He was designated for assignment last March. That's when the Pirates got him. He logged 120 OPS, 11 doubles, 13 homers, 45 RBIs, and a 2.2 WAR in 80 games. And he's 28. So there's a theme here, trying to keep my wish list, in their 20s somewhere. So any thoughts on Joey Bart, especially JV, since you're a fan?
I don't doubt that could happen and that he could end up, if not with the Phillies, with somewhere, because they're way too high on Henry Davis, in my opinion. They think he's the whole future of it. So I do believe grabbing Bart was kind of a hope he does well kind of a move, and move him for prospects, and maybe even have him, help Henry Davis learn how to be a catcher a little bit. But yeah, I could see it, and for him, I would hate to see him go there just because I think he's better than a backup, but I think he's also not he's like the mid-level starter. He's not going to be the World Series. He might catch on with a team that could win the World Series, but I don't disagree with you. It's a solid pick to get rid of Marshawn. And you keep Stubbs still in the minors for at least a little bit longer with that, holding on to that last option, because once you bring him up, he's done. He's got to be up or gone. So,
right.
Is anyone going to take him now, guys?
Marshawn?
You mean off waivers?
Right. We're worried about Stubbs and options like DFA him, and okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Somebody might hear that song. You know what I mean?
He brings the vibes, man. He brings the vibes.
I got one more. So we used to have this gentleman. He's number 12th ranked catcher in all baseball. His name's Logan O'Hoppe. One of the other kind of criteria I put in here is, I kicked out all the teams that are like in the hunt that probably wouldn't trade or, even entertain the fact of a trade. And the Angels are not in a great position right now. So Angels, let's see, he was straight up swap for Brandon Marsh at the 2022 deadline. Yep. He hit 244, 100 OPS, 17 doubles, 20 homers, 56 RBIs, and a 2.7 WAR in 136 games. And he's 25 and controllable through the 2028 season. So thoughts on Logan O'Hoppe coming back home?
That's that's with a year 3 arbitration, though, right?
You would know better, probably. I don't know the last year.
I
If
think
Hoppy comes back here, JT is gone. He's a starter.
That's what I was thinking.
He's a starter.
Yeah.
He's not coming here as a
And-
backup.
And being a controllable 25-year-old, I don't see the Angels letting him go yet. It's going to be real hard for them to let him go, just based on that availability. Like, why would you give up control on a guy that could be your starter for years to come? Or another trade piece as he gets to the end of that contract. Because the Angels aren't going anywhere for a while. So.
Yeah, they kind of like in the wings. Travis d'Arnaud is their backup, so he has a lot of experience, as we know.
And that's
coming from the Braves.
Isn't that like the stereotypical setup that you want? You want a young catcher being your starter with an experienced guy as the backup,
Absolutely.
helping him and showing him along and giving him a break every now and again.
Yep.
I listened to the book by Eric Kratz, the mantra of a backup catcher, and it's a very good point. Very good point. Is that that's what the backup is there for. You want a guy that's going to help get the starter off their legs and can help them prepare for games. If you get a guy that knows how to prepare, like Kratz could. Kratz was one of the best, most prepared guys, and he made sure his starter was just as prepared and ready for every game. And I don't know Darnaud. How do you say his name?
d'Arnaud.
d'Arnaud. I don't know his.
That's how they say it on
pedigree
TV.
I don't know his pedigree of game prep, but it's something that Hoppy could learn from. So I think honestly, your best chance out of that wish list might be Joey Bart.
Yeah. So
I know you gave us some great stats on like doubles and their OPS and stuff like that, but I would like to know too what their pinch hit numbers are, because that's a spot I think a lot of people forget about with platoon guys and backup guys. Like, and it struck me when they brought Kepler in as a pinch hitter a couple of games ago. He's batting like 179 as a career. I'm like, well, obviously this guy's mainly a starter, so not a lot of data points there, but that scares me. For anybody, if you got a low batting average as a pinch hitter and you're a career backup, that's a little scary.
He's no Del Unser.
I think Weston Wilson has been like the third catcher. Like, I don't know, Weston, put on the fucking gear and just be like, hey, you know what, Topper, I can do it. Like, what's the easiest way to the Phillies, backup roster? Like, it's like, can you hit? Well, the answer is yes, you have a step on Marchand. Like, he cannot hit. I think he's, something, right, guys?
89.
He had 2 hits yesterday. He did have 2 hits in yesterday's game. One was
not over 100 though.
A misplayed fly ball, and then they had the single to right. But
yeah,
his base running is what concerned me the most yesterday. Jesus Christ, he gets doubled off on that little humpback liner, and
my
then
God.
Luckily,
I was at that game.
Lucky
with the helmet.
Second.
Yeah. That helmet play was.
I was at that game, and when he got double off, I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, it's just
That's little league shit.
fundamental. Like, my 10-year-olds do better than that. Like, they know that they listen when we're yelling, "Get back!" They actually get back and listen. Like,
I'll look ahead to the next 7 games. Like, we're playing the Pirates and Rockies, Pirates at home, Rockies away. You know what? Anytime I look at those 2 teams and it's a 3-game and a 4-game series, you got to be 6-1. And, obviously it's 1 loss because Nola's pitching in fucking mile high weather. Get the, how many bombs is this dude giving up?
I'm hoping he can just pick up some really good weed in Colorado and just end up just loosening up those muscles and throw a banger out there.
That's not out of the realm, right?
Yeah, just get some bomb weed in Colorado, dude, and just pitch lights out.
You don't have to smoke it if you're against smoking. You can do some gummies.
Yeah,
and
chew that up, bro. Just wait an hour and throw hot fire.
The worst thing that happens for the Phillies, he's suspended for 50 games afterwards.
Yeah.
Do they still test for that in the MLB?
I think it's still on the ban list, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah.
So scary.
Now I need to know.
I thought they
So-
like upped it to yes, it's banned, but if you're an everyday type smoker, you can't. Maybe it might be, or maybe that's the Olympics.
Maybe
I know for Phelps,
he can get one of the medical cards. He needs it
There you
for
go.
his anxiety or something. He's got anxiety.
Glaucoma.
his anxiety has velo is down.
Yeah. I think the best thing about the next 7 games, Chris, is that the Pirates are here because the Pirates kick our ass out in Pittsburgh. I
They
don't know
always
why.
do.
I don't know
Yes.
why, but
They,
at
they
least
have,
it's here.
they
There
have
was a few
15
years
wins this
where-
year, guys, and Colorado has 7. So to Chris's point, they're
There was a
7
few
and
years-
36, dude. That's crazy.
I know.
Go
A few
ahead,
years
Kyle.
where the Pirates actually would they would go like 6-2 against, or 4-2, or like 5-1 against the Phillies every year, and then the Pirates turned around and actually that earlier 2000s when they were making runs at the playoffs, the Phillies weren't doing that good, and they would beat the Pirates like 4-2. It was like the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
So speaking of weed, I think Jason's gotten into his stash.
It's so. Here's the deal. This is what's going to aggravate you. He has it in him, right? Like we've seen him have shades of greatness. It's not like he doesn't have the ability to throw like a genius. We have seen him methodically throw games that are just real masterclass in pitching. Where's that
I
guy
agree.
at?
I agree.
Where's he at?
Yeah.
I agree.
So to go back to the drug thing, any and all drugs or substances included in Schedules 1 and 2
Nope, that's out.
of the Code of Federal Regulations
Okay.
are prohibited. So
Yeah.
So what? Jurickson Profar was taking some pregnancy drug, right, guys? Like progesterone or
Yep.
something like that, and that's
But no weed. But weed is
Right.
bad. Weed's
Right.
the devil's lettuce.
It's a gateway drug.
Yeah,
Like,
that's true.
remember Dare? Dare in like 4th grade was like, yeah, don't try this. Like, why not? Well, it'll make you like really enjoy life. It'll make you
Yeah.
more personable to people around you, and you could probably socially function with it.
Nancy Reagan, just say no. Oh, well, fucking thanks, Nancy. You just say no. Oh, do you want another beer, Chris? Oh, no, thank you. Nancy told me not to. Fuck out of here.
Well,
and-
listen, her husband made ketchup a vegetable. So, like, look, is this the family we're
Yeah.
taking advice from at this point?
Larry smokes every day and he can pitch better than Nola.
There you go.
go.
Attaboy, Larry.
That's awesome. All right. Well, we're getting close to the end here, so I want to end on a little bit of a positive because despite all of our bitching all the time, the Phillies actually do have like the 5th best record in baseball. It might be hard to believe if you listen to us long enough, but it is the truth.
I'm actually surprised, Chris. Thanks for letting me know that.
There you go. So I just want to talk about one of our guys that we have whipped on for a while, and his name even came up tonight, Alec Bohm. And what a shitty start to the season he had, and there's no denying that he started the season terrible. But he's had kind of a nice bounce back, and I got some stats here to kind of back that up. So if you look at his stats through April and March, he's a 221 hitter in April and March, and he was getting vilified by the DPF guys, and rightfully so. Right now, though, for the season, he's bounced back nicely. I mean, his average is up to 258, and that's really due to the fact that his May has been awesome. He's hitting 357 in May with a 548 slugging percentage and a 973 OPS. He's also lowered his strikeout percentage in April and March. It was almost 19%. He's down to about 16.5% on strikeouts. So he's putting the ball in play more, driving in more runs. And I actually think he's found a home in that 7 spot. I wouldn't move him. I think he fits nicely in the back half of that lineup, especially with the things that Schwarber's doing out of the 4 hole. You're getting a little something out of Casty in the 5 hole. Kepler, hot or cold, typical of guys in this lineup. When he's hot, he's hot. When he's not, he's not. But I like Bohm kind of restarting that back half of the lineup in the 7 hole. He's never going to be the power hitter we want him to be for a guy his size. But I like him. I think he's got a and a quarter infielder. He's going to be more of a line drive guy, and his home runs are going to be accidents if they go over the fence, doubles that go over the fence. But he's had a nice bounce back, and he's a guy that we've really given a hard time. In the last week, he's batting 400, with a 600 slugging percentage. So I think he's a guy that we have to start giving his props for bouncing back, and hopefully he gets back up around 300 before the season's over, because we're going to need him. And he's consistent. If he's consistent,
it's it is a great point. He was batting 8th yesterday, though, Chris, right?
I think he was 8th. Yeah, 7th or 8th is where that's
tough, right? Name a third baseman that you want hitting 7th or 8th.
I know.
Why do we do that as baseball people? Why? You play this position, you should be hitting in a certain spot in the lineup.
Because we're old.
Well, I was going to say, because we are old.
And Keith and I actually got into this a little bit on our show about how the game has changed and how the positions and these guys change. And I'm okay with Bohm not being the home run guy and hitting in the seventh spot. If he's hitting doubles and driving in runs, that's all I need him to do.
Yeah.
We
talked about the makeup of the lineup, right? If he's not hitting home runs, then someone has to be, because you just got to get that production from somewhere, And
do you need the home runs, or you just need guys getting on base and guys driving them in? However you drive them in, you drive them in.
Well, see, now you're talking like an old man. The game's not played that way anymore, right? The game's played by swinging from your ass, and you score on home runs. The Phillies don't score that way. If they don't hit home runs, they don't win.
Come to the dark side, JV.
Yeah.
Bunting. So we talk about bunting on here. Oh my God.
I love the approach that Turner has taken this year. Just put the ball in play. He's cutting down his swing a little bit. He's hitting around 300. He still has his bad at bats where he chases pitches, but he's hitting the ball to right center. To me, he's turned himself into the perfect leadoff 2-hitter. Turner, the way he's hit. But then again, that's my old school thinking of what a leadoff and a 2-hitter is. Yeah. So it's like a double-edged sword. I want to see him do that, but I also want to see him, maybe knock one out of the park every once in a while when we need it. Yep. So it's tough. You're juggling the old man thoughts with the new style of the way the game's played, and it's I think it's something that I know we at the APF struggle with, and we talk about it a lot. I saw a guy comment about everybody saying Dombrowski didn't do shit this offseason, and they went to Kepler, who at the time was hitting 252, and I'm going, well, now we're accepting mediocrity as a good signing. 252 when I was a kid was that was your light hitting shortstop, your light hitting shortstop hit 250, but now we're in a league where last year I think 5 guys in the National League hit 300. The game has changed. It's not about bat the ball anymore. It's about swing as hard as you can and hopefully you hit it over the fence. I don't know. Even a guy like Rojas swings from his ass.
So that is something I don't struggle with, is the modernization of baseball. I will fully admit I did watch baseball when I was younger with my dad. I listened to it on the radio all the time. I didn't fully get into it as I have until I was probably in my early 20s. And I saw the statistical side of it, and then I saw kind of the chess game playing of the pitching on the mound, and just realized how intricate and involved the game can get. I don't mind these changes. I really don't. I don't mind the technology. I want robo-umps. I want better quality control of the game.
You're so young.
Until we talk about pitching in the bullpen, that's where the only spot where you have not agreed that the change in the system.
Go ahead, say it.
Is the closer.
Yep.
I want my closer going against the best guys in their lineup to shut them down. I don't want Kerkering facing 1, 2, 3. I want it should be Alvarado facing the 1, 2, 3, and I don't care if it's the 8th inning doing that, because if he shuts them down then, and maybe he gives up a hit, so now you got him facing 4 guys. Now I got some of these other guys in the bullpen facing 5, 6, 7, and 8, where it's statistically getting worse in the lineup. I'll take that. I want the matchups. You took away the matchups that we used to see with the righty versus lefty by this 3 batter rule. Now I want my best pitchers facing their best hitters for those 3 batters.
JV, this is a good point, and I completely agree with you. And like, trust me, after this, I want to go into my house and I want to put my sofa in like one of those plastic things because I'm old. I just want things to be like it was. But that is, how can you not agree with that? Do you want your closer to face 7, 8, 9 or 1, 2, 3? That's right. It's easy. It's as easy as that, right?
Yeah. If the 7, 8, 9 is coming up in the bottom of the 9th. I'm okay with I'm a little more okay with Kerkering or Strom taking those guys on versus Alvarado. I know Alvarado hasn't been consistent, but you get the point there.
Yeah.
He's the expected closer. I want him to shut down the best of their lineup, not their worst of their lineup,
I thought Romano was supposed to be our closer.
I think he's going to be.
He's scratching it up a little bit. Time will tell.
Talking about devil's lettuce.
Yeah, that guy.
That guy does Adderall, though. He's twitchy.
Oh, yeah.
We want to end on Odames?
Yeah, let's do that, Mike. You cooked it up. Let's have it.
We got a little recurring popular sketch, guys, called the Odames of the Week. So it's a nod to Odubel Herrera because he was at Odames. And so every once in a while, I'll find something around the country that someone was really stupid at, and we say no. So this is a place called Laurel.
We're not that much clever. We have a segment called "It's Always Dummy in Philadelphia."
There you go. Well, I will tell you, a lot of times this goes to Florida, but today we're right outside of DC, in a little suburb called Laurel, and there was a woman, even though the town had publicized this parade for months. She decided to park on the parade route, and she was told by the police multiple times as she was trying to leave for work that she couldn't. She had to wait for another couple hours. She decided to tear the stanchions down and drive her car through the parade. Luckily, the only person injured was the police officer who was trying to get her to stop. She was arrested by the deputy chief of Laurel, and his quote is, "Her behavior is so reckless and dangerous, she made it a lot worse than it needed to be for herself." So she was arrested on 6 misdemeanor charges, including second-degree assault, reckless endangerment, and resisting arrest. Laurel police said that it began when she realized she was stuck behind those road closures. And like I said, this thing is the last couple of months. The officer can be heard on his body cam, yelling for her to stop, that she may hurt someone on the parade route. There's a transcript here. Indulge me a second. Debbie, we'll call her. There has to be another way. I'm not taking a taxi all the way to Virginia. I work in Virginia. The officer said, "I understand, and I apologize for the inconvenience." But when she was told she could not leave again, it quickly escalated. Officer said, "Do not disturb this area." And she said, "I might have to." And then she's on video breaking the caution tape and going right down the middle of the parade with her car. She is literally, they said it's a miracle that she didn't hurt anyone else besides the police officer. And she, after her arrest, continued to resist officers trying to make her way to her job, which she did not get to because she is now in custody. She is waiting for a court date, and it's scheduled for July. Remember, 6 misdemeanors. So she may spend some time in jail. So that is our dumbass of the week. Good old Deb in Laurel, right outside of DC.
Good old dumbass dummy.
So Keith and
Well
JV, we kind of like normally go around and do some final thoughts. So we'd like to have you guys offer some today before we close out.
We don't have a guaranteed 10-game win streak, but we could turn it into one. And we still play 162, so keep your cool. We need you all for the long haul.
Ooh, he's a poet. He didn't even know it.
This is
Let's see. I agree with Keith. Don't get. There's still the fifth best record in baseball. They're still going to be there competing throughout the year. Don't jump ship yet, and let's go Bucks.
I'll go,
Not
guys.
this weekend, though.
I say it all the time. I will cheer for the Phillies for every game except for 6 out of the year, and if it's actually going to affect the Pirates in any way, which I know it's not going to, I'll cheer against the Phillies. But if they ever both are battling for that playoff spot, then sorry, Phils. But that one only happens when I fall asleep. So
You're such a yinzer.
Yinzer. Why don't you go put fries on that?
yeah.
Some
For
coleslaw.
Manny.
All right, I'll go next. So if you're 45 years old, please schedule your colonoscopy. It could save your life. It saved mine. And I want to just wrap up. We didn't get a chance to last week. I just want to wrap up our Colorectal Cancer Alliance grand total. Let's get a little drum roll, please. We ended our fundraising drive at $5,122.
That's
Ladies
awesome.
and gentlemen,
Great job.
I get goosebumps, guys.
That is awesome.
This community is amazing. I felt your support the whole time. The whole winter, going through the chemo, all that stuff. So we appreciate you. Stay tuned. I'll have some walk details hopefully in the next month or so. Over to you, Dukes.
Yep. Keith, JV, thanks for coming on tonight. It was awesome talking to you guys.
Thanks, Bradley.
Good luck with your podcast and everything you guys got going on. Sounds like a good time. I'm definitely going to check you guys out. I just want to say, personally, I had a situation this week. We had to put my dog down. I posted it on the page. I want to thank everyone for reaching out. It meant a lot to me and my family. And hey, 5th best record in baseball. We love to hate the Phillies. We hate to love the Phillies. But this is a good baseball team, and I think we need to get behind them. Bryce Harper's going to come around. Aaron Nola probably is not going to come around. But we got the Pirates this week. My daughter's boyfriend is a Yinzer, so fuck
Smart
the
man.
Pirates if you're listening, Levi. And we'll be
Got
at a
you,
couple
Levi.
games this weekend as well. So go Phils. Thanks for everything, guys.
Cool.
Thank you.
So Steve says Chris doesn't want to go in his house. He lives in the garage. Well, fucking obviously.
Duh.
Why wouldn't you? Like, he wanted to drop something off here the other day, and he's like, "Are you in the garage?" And I'm like, I feel like my wife put him up to this. And I was like, I can be. And I'm sitting in, my normal fucking Archie Bunker spot in the corner.
I got a text that day too, so it was nice. I ran over to the garage and had
Yes, he did.
had some early beers.
Yeah, we're drinking like 10%ers at like fucking 10 a.m.
Good boy.
Yeah. So, I think 6-1 is where I want to be. Keith and, JV, thanks so much for coming on. It was such a joy to talk to you and not have to deal with Chris.
Same.
I'm sure you feel the same. So good luck with Chris. I kind of like when he's on, I just put like my hand up over the screen. So I just see you guys when you're talking.
Yeah.
But if there's a way that you can do like a mute for him, that would be better.
The best days is when his mic fails.
Oh, I love that. That's always the best. But honestly, like Chris kind of like facilitated this. He's been so awesome. We went to Roman together. So like, I really do love Chris. Nothing that happened today was real. He never said any of those things. So, but Chris, you weren't here. So you got, fucked a little bit.
You're still a piece of trash, bro.
And one last thing, fuck the Mets. So,
Fuck the Mets.
have a good night, everyone. Thank you for being on.